In the year 1918, the United States government ratified the 18th Amendment, rewriting the laws of our country to completely prohibit the sale and creation of alcohol, kicking off what is known today as the Prohibition. While in concept this was a good idea, after all, drinking and getting drunk is the cause of many problems in families and in society, but the problem is, instead of total teetotality, an underground market sprung up full of gangsters and corrupt government officials. Alcohol consumption didn't die down, it just went underground. The whole ordeal ended up making everything way more dangerous than before. And only 13 years after the Prohibition started, the 21st Amendment was ratified, whose entire purpose was just to cancel out the 18th one. This entire era of history is fascinating to me, but I'm clearly not the only one. A while back, one Tracy Butler discovered some old underground speakeasies after moving to St. Louis. This would later inspire her in 2008 to write a webcomic set in this era about a struggling speakeasy named Lackadaisy. Also cats, because meow? Now at this time, I was but a wee boy and had no idea about this webcomic or Tracy Butler or the internet, so forgive the fact that I'm new around here. That being said, in 2020, a new fundraiser for Lackadaisy short film showed up. And even though it came out on the same day as the COVID economy crash, got $300,000 for an $85,000 goal. What? A few years later, in 2023, I discovered that a full 27-minute pilot for an animated Lackadaisy web series was released on YouTube, and I want to talk about it. So I will.
Everyone is created for every single decision you make.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense to me. Personally, I think the entire theory is full of baloney.
Good morning, I'm Joel Ann, and boy howdy, it's been a while since my last video about a TV show that wasn't Bluey. Wait, no, I have never made a video about a TV show that wasn't Bluey. Oh, I guess there's a first time for everything. One thing that's important for you to know about me is that I love indie. Indie what?
Yes.
Anything from indie games, indie books, indie music. Give me one person with a dream over a boardroom of executives crunching numbers any day of the week. But for the longest time, I saw indie cartoons as something unachievable. I mean, sure, back in the very early days of the internet, there were some on Newgrounds and stuff, but I didn't really exist at that point in time, so to me those were the dark ages. There was also a lot of independently animated short films uploaded to YouTube, but most of those are student projects from folks that quickly move into the industry to work in the machine. The closest thing to indie cartoons for the longest time was animation YouTubers. Folks like The Odd Ones Out, Jaiden Animations, Let Me Explain Studios, and so many more. These people, while not really making cartoons in the traditional sense, still inspired an entire generation to fall in love with the concept of animation on YouTube. Hi, that's me. But from my observations, a huge shakeup occurred in 2019 with the release of the Hazbin Hotel pilot by Vivziepop. This video, with its deep lore, fascinating world, and many inappropriate jokes and bad words, caught the internet by storm, proving to many that indie cartoons are a legitimate way of storytelling. And now today, 5 years later, we are almost overran by these things. Atlas and the Stars, Dungeon Flippers, Port by the Sea, whatever an amazing digital circus is. Sounds kind of niche, I mean, who would want to watch that? But this video is about one Lackadaisy, which in my opinion is not only the best of these animation shows, no offense to the other ones, but is probably one of the best film things I have ever seen, period. And I've seen Avatar Rise of Water in 3D. Where do I start with this thing? How do I start with this thing? Well, Lackadaisy was originally a webcomic. I did not know this when I originally watched it, and honestly, that kinda might be my only real complaint with this entire thing. I mean, the way it opens with a 2-minute monologue about the Mississippi River that is relatively disconnected to literally anything else in the rest of the pilot. The way this character is referred to as Babyface in his first scene. And now that's the only name that comes to my mind when I think of him. The way the show just doesn't explain anything. Who are these people? Why are they grave robbing? Who are they? Are they siblings or loving? This is important for reasons. Who is this woman? Why is her bar empty? Who is this guy on the wall? Is it the same person from the post-credit scene? And don't even get me started on Mordecai Hatchetman Heller. I mean, I'm kind of making a big deal out of this for no other reason than it's literally the only thing I can think of that's wrong with this pilot, and even then I genuinely can't think of a good way to fix it myself. Would I rather have too much exposition than too little? These are discussions for another day. You do get a lot of these answers from reading the comic and watching the side shorts, but watching a TV show shouldn't require a homework. I'm kind of unfair on this because this is just a pilot. I'm sure it'll be fixed more in the actual show. You know what? While I'm here, we have time. Let's run through all the important story bits that the pilot forgot about. For your sake, dear audience. Because I love you, please subscribe. So there was this guy named Atlas. He was a cool little entrepreneur who ran a cafe named The Little Daisy. But then this thing called the Prohibition happened, and he was like, "Ayo, I can take advantage of this." And his wife was like, "Bet." And so he took the caves under his cafe and made a speakeasy that he named Lackadaisy.
That's the name of the movie.
And it did pretty good for itself. As the comics describe it, a small empire. And then the Atlas died. You know how it is in crime rings. One small enemy here, one ticked off competitor there. Next thing you know, you have a bullet in your head. It is what it is. Leaving this now crumbling empire in the hands of his depressed widow, Mitzi May. And now here we are about a year after his death. Only a few local patrons and employees remain. Rocky, the overenthusiastic, slightly mad fiddle player, his cousin Babyface, Fretgold, who is a bit more reserved, but also really likes guns because man has problems. And Ivy, who I do not have a crush on, get out of my head! Can I just say, I love this team. Their chemistry is natural, and every scene with the three of them is hilarious. I just want to put them in a jar and study them. There's also a few other employees, like Victor, the intimidating strongman of the organization, and also Mordecai Heller, who used to work for Lackadaisy, but is now part of the competitors team. Very much big guy, smart guy energy, these two. There's also a few other characters, but none of them seem to be particularly important. I mean, does anybody actually care about Horatio? Do you need a 50-minute analysis on Zib? Cause you're not getting one! At least not until I finish the Blue Army video. Now, really quickly, I want to zoom out a bit and talk about a larger problem in the cartoon landscape. So let's imagine a scale, where as things go up it, the cartoons are aimed at older audiences, okay? Okay, so on this side you got stuff like Paw Patrol and Dora the Explorer, and slightly farther up you find stuff like DuckTales or Steven Universe. However, if you look at the completely other end of the scale, you find stuff like Rick and Morty or Hazbin Hotel, or other such things you wouldn't let a little Bluey watch. But what's in the middle? Nothing! In literature, this demographic is known as young adults, and is a very large market. But for some reason, in animation, you're either expected to graduate to movies, live action, or forego any self-respect and watch anime. But times are a-changing. More and more shows are aging up their content to appeal to a young adults, and the forerunner of this charge is indie animation, with Lackadaisy as one of the first. Lackadaisy has no gratuitous violence, no swearing, no sex, but is still a mature story about cats selling illegal drugs. Definitely not fun for the whole family, but is fun for me, specifically. Anyways, I can't think of a good transition that also includes a mid-video call to actions. So subscribe, maybe? We have this cool little bell you can ring, so you know when I next upload. Anyways, I want to talk about the art of the pilot, because oh my goodness, this is beautiful. So, weird fun fact, cartoons kind of run on different rules than most art. Like, you can put as much time and effort into a single painting as you like, but with animation you'll have to draw the same thing, but slightly different hundreds of times every couple seconds. Now, granted, most animation is done in layers, so you don't have to redraw the same background, but a general rule of animation is to simplify characters as much as you possibly can, but this does come at a cost. Often animation is simplified to a point of abstraction. Like, no one in their right mind would call this a dog or this a goldfish. I mean, shoot, even I'm just a triangle with glasses. But Lackadaisy kept the design of the characters pretty one-to-one with the comics. To be fair, comics run on similar rules of drawing one thing hundreds of times, yet they still make richly detailed characters. I don't know, it's just fascinating to me how real these guys move. Like, they actually exist in a 3D space, which, fun fact, they kinda do. A lot of these scenes were animated or even storyboarded with 3D modeled backgrounds. But often the vehicles and guns are 3D models in the final show as opposed to the same hand-drawn animation that the characters are. Now, vehicles being 3D models is something that's been done for years, but I genuinely have no idea why they made the guns also 3D. And it's not just the guns, most of the props appear to be models. Even a lot of the backgrounds feel like models. Now, whether or not they're paintings based on the 3D models or actually just really good shaded models, I don't know. Hi there, hello, Editor Joel here. So if my research is correct, apparently they create 3D versions of the background for animating everything in, and then also they use the 3D models as painting reference. So yeah, that's the correction. Okay, back to regular Joel. We'll get back to this thing in a bit, but first I want to point something out. That despite the 3D feeling of the environment and the props, despite the realistic fluid motion of the characters, they still somehow manage to always feel hand animated. Why? Well, because the animators did this little trick, where instead of erasing all the sketch lines used to draw each frame of animation, they just lowered the opacity and colored on top of it. There's this really cool video in the card up there if you want to watch it that dives deeper into this concept. But it creates a very unique effect I have never seen anywhere else, where you can almost always see the inherent 2D-ness of these characters in this world. Good grief, can you pick a lane, Lackadaisy? Why can't you just be 3D or 2D? Well, to answer this question, I want to look at one last aspect of this animation. The music. I know, this is a weird logical leap, but hear me out. The Prohibition of the United States brought about a sort of jazz age, where this music was often associated with the immoral speakeasies by whatever that generation's equivalent to boomers were. But what you hear in Lackadaisy isn't quite the era-accurate jazz. No, it's something a little different. It uses a lot of the same music theory and feel of jazz, but also uses a lot of modern techniques and even some electronic instruments. This, my friend, is called electroswing. And isn't that just a beautiful metaphor of this entire work of art? It's the combination of the best of both worlds, the old and the new, the risky and the well-trodden, the 3D and the 2D. Everything from the animation to the characters to the music to the story is amazing. And almost all the people who worked on this pilot grew up on the Lackadaisy comics and were already huge fans of this world. And you can feel that passion in every single frame of this masterpiece. After watching this video for the first time, I literally gave it a standing ovation in my kitchen. And shortly afterwards, we got a new fundraiser for a full 5-episode season 1. Which raised $2 million out of the $125,000 goal. Needless to say, I don't think the Booze Cats are going anywhere anytime soon. But hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to know more about the behind the scenes of Lackadaisy, this video is from somebody who actually worked on the show. Or if you like Bluey, you should check out my video about the amazing episode Rain. I'm Joel Lamb. Have a wonderful day. Bye.